Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Thomas, how are we?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good. A little better than I was a couple of days ago.
Well, we're going to get on to that, Mr. Gout. And Sir Bruce Fitzpatrick. Bruce.
Good evening.
Sorry, the Sir came back.
Back to old times.
just a habit. I just did it. Sorry. Are you well, Bruce?
Doing all right. Doing okay. Very jealous to miss out on your little excursion down south, but
well, it's a little Tour Diaries episode. Very miniature tour, this one, to be honest with you. But felt like we should do a little podcast. And given the fact that you couldn't secure the annual leave for this one, I thought it would be nice to have a front row seat for it.
Yeah. I mean, I can, as you say, Sam, I can play the sort of straight man who asks the probing questions or the natural questions.
So,
we're not just going to talk about like the high level things here. Is that in the last few days, Sam and I had a little trip down south. We went via Runnymede, where we recorded the last podcast that got released, and then we pretty much drove through the worst weather that Zeus could throw at us, and then got down to the south coast and had a lovely day at Royal St George's with the Partners Day that was put on by Royal St George's, which was very, very pleasant indeed. And then we went across in the morning and played at North Foreland, the short par 3 course. So we're just going to be kind of running through that shortly, really. So how do we kick this off then, chaps? I mean, what are we going to...
Well, I've got a question for you.
Okay, good.
I'm conscious the theme of this podcast is probably more about road trips in general, isn't it? And the idea of just, the kind of a little segue.
Gout. Gout's been a large part of my weekend, so I'm sure that it might as well be a large part of this podcast.
Okay,
so.
Okay, we can, we see.
I knew we were in trouble on that Monday morning when we drove
Well, we'd
down,
arranged to have a game, didn't we? I mean, we didn't just decide on Runnymede purely for historical significance.
To a conference suite.
Some sort of pathetic fallacy with the state of the professional game and the recent conclusion of the Masters. We were hoping to have a game near there, but you were sadly informed me on the way down. I was driving out of London and you were driving down from Bromsgrove, and you informed me that your body wasn't up to it, was it, Sam?
I was just in absolute pieces.
Are you sure it's gout?
I'm pretty sure it's gout. I suffer with it on and off, but the pain is so intense and it's so acute, it can only be gout. And I know that, with my birthday last week, which rolled into a couple of big meals, probably not drinking enough water. Then there was the Masters Friday, which was a monster piss up all day. Then I played.
Come on, that's a bit vulgar. Can we?
Okay.
Sorry, can we just moderate that as an upstanding, member of society?
Which was a monster boozy day, really. And then the Saturday, I played 2 matches, so I had to play my scratch knockout at Blackwell. Which, jokingly, I played against this chap called Dave. We all know Dave, great bloke. Well, the 3 of us know Dave.
Top bloke.
Golf's like really sharp at the moment. I jokingly been walking around the club saying I'll only need 2. Well, I've been saying I'll only need 2 hours with Dave, which obviously I knew what was going to happen. I was going to be in for the battle of my life, and that's what happened. The reason I was saying it wasn't going to take me too long was because I had to play my foursomes game.
The story was going
after.
this way, actually. He was saying to me, like, I'm going to be having Dustin by the 14th. It's going to be no problem at all. And then, like, I come into the clubhouse later on the day, and people go, yeah, he's been telling me he's having Dustin by the 12th, so it should be fine. And then someone's like, he said he's going to be beating him 10-8 and walk straight after.
So hang on,
that's fine.
So I then agreed I was going to play my foursomes match straight after, at like 11:30. So me and Dave went off at 8:30. Obviously, the match goes 21 holes and I lose down 18, which was the only way it could have possibly ended. He played great. He totally deserved to win.
Hubris, that is hubris.
So by then, I'm an hour late for my foursomes match, which meant I walked straight to the first tee again and then played the foursomes match, which lasted for 18 holes. So by the end, I've played 39 holes. I've not sat down. I've not come off the course and I've not drank any water. And dehydration is an absolute trigger for gout. Felt a little bit fruity in the foot on Sunday, Monday, I was limping really bad. Like, I think your bro, when we were at Runnymede, took a video of me walking in from the car and sent the video saying live scenes of Tiger Woods walking into Runnymede or something. It was really, really bad.
Question for you, though, Sam. As someone who likes to bang on, quite rightly so, about the wonders of Blackwell Golf Club and how one of those such wonders is the spike bar, which is a mandatory stop after 9 holes. You said you hadn't had a drink the whole way around.
Yeah, it didn't happen because I had to get the match done in the morning, and then because we teed off an hour late on the Saturday afternoon, the guys that were teeing off was like, I really need to get home. Like, the dogs are going to be plaiting their legs by the end of this one. So, yeah, the whole thing was just a little bit fiddly and finicky. Yeah, like crossing the legs. You know, dogs need to get nipped out. He needs to get back for the dogs.
High drama, isn't it?
But you know what? I don't know if there's a correlation between gout sufferers and really top level golf clubs. I just feel like Blackwell's like the gout fast lane, isn't it? Just you know, I think
no, I'm not having this. First of all, gout's like a genetic thing. It's also hereditary.
Yeah, we're not having this in the pod.
We can't just have some sort of black hole of gravitation where Blackwell just seems to pull in nothing but gout sufferers. I just felt like my whole diet for the last week had been very gouty.
Well, it's a build-up of uric acid, isn't it? Fundamentally, like that gout, it has this kind of like mythical or almost like opaque kind of connotation. Like, what is it? Am I right in thinking it's kind of like a form of arthritis and it's like build-up of uric acid?
It's like build-up of uric acid, but it goes into like parts of your joint where it can't get through, so then it's stuck there. It's like needles in your foot.
Right. And is the idea, because I'm fairly sure I'm going to butcher this, but is it from too much beer or too much red wine?
No, it is hereditary. It is hereditary. I think it's a bit of a misconception that it's steak and red wine. Yeah, I think you know, asparagus, really high in uric acid. Shellfish, really high in uric acid. I don't think red wine is great for it. I don't think alcohol is great for most things, period, to be honest with you.
I don't know. It's nice
dehydration's a killer. Yeah. So, look, anyway, I was in a lot of pain.
Right.
Left foot was, and you know, you have to turn into your left foot to hit it hard. And I turn into left foot quite hard, you know. So, I was really worried about the prospect of playing golf.
So sadly, the golf on Monday was a bit of a casualty. Probably no bad thing, given that the lovely Easter sunshine that we'd had through Friday, Saturday, Sunday went away, and we were hit with a bit of some downpours and some sunny spells and pretty high winds. I journeyed back to London Monday evening, and then you guys carried on down to the Kent coast. So
yeah, but before we did, we were like, oh, let's obviously. We were going to organise lunch, but then it was like, let's just get down there, because you know when you got you're halfway through a trip and you're like, we'll just get down there, and then we were quite shy on petrol anyway, so we just sort of jumped into the service station. And I've got really on elite on the snacks. I feel like we need to. Road snacks are so important when you're on a road trip.
You really like the sweets, don't you? So those things you bought, the Natural Sweet Company, they were of a different order.
Yeah,
really?
So I like gummies. By the way, if you like sort of anything gummy, Aldi do a really quite fine sugar-free gum, they're like wine gums that are sugar-free. They're like a quarter of the calories. It's quite magnificent. But that's like my vice.
Which service
I can't imagine
station
you snack. Bruce, are you like nothing but apples and bananas?
No, I've got a really sweet tooth, but Harry, my brother, he eats very healthily, so I think that influence, wears off on me. And service stations.
What are you loading in for?
It's usually got to be some sort of sandwich and/or salad or little pasta dish. Yeah.
Inappropriate road trip.
But I'd probably I'd probably make it, I'd top it up with like a protein bar and some yogurt, and then I just feel like I could go ham on some. I'll tell you what's my worst, actually. The chocolate cornflake like cluster thing that you see in those. I could just do a whole tub of that.
You see, that's so
if
different.
If you go to one that's got M&S, you've got have a tub of that, and then like a tub of there's 2 for £5 something. So you can have a tub of chocolate rolls with it as well.
Oof. Yeah, I do it all.
M&S have really cornered the market, haven't they, on sort of like £4.50 for confectionery treats for the road. I mean, they've absolutely nailed it. Everything Tom bought back to the car had a cartoon picture on the packaging. Like it was just yellow,
wine gums, sugary
and
stuff.
white. Yeah, it was all just bright, saturated colours on the thing. You just knew it was absolute garbage.
That wagon wheel they put on it was mostly
And then
red.
driving down, the weather was so bad. It was like, when you have to really concentrate because it's so heavy, the rain. And I think we were pretty much driving and following the cloud all the way down to Kent.
It's stressful.
It was absolutely fierce. However, we did get to George's, and then the pain in the foot did abate slightly, whether that was due to the almighty amount of Pringles we'd consumed on the way down. It abated
Pringles is another
slightly.
good one, actually.
I'm not done with it. I'm not done with snacks. What was...
Can we just go back and clarify which service station? Because you're on the M25.
It was a Sainsbury's petrol station.
We went to Sainsbury's near Runnymede.
So it wasn't even like, I mean, Chobham Services. Sorry, it's not Chobham, actually. It's Cobham. Cobham Service. I'm getting two places confused there. Cobham and Clackett Lane, but I think it's probably more Cobham.
Clackett Lane's all right. So for anyone that listens to this that doesn't live in the UK, obviously our motorway network has different service stations, and these are generally owned by, what would you say, like, parent companies, aren't they? And some of them are big and have loads of options, and some of them are minging grotesque, but have a few options. And I actually prefer the latter.
We've talked about it a lot on our trips. Like, I'd say one of the worst services on the planet is Beaconsfield, because it's just so big.
It's like driving into Heathrow Airport, but you're only going there.
I prefer that
and a sausage roll.
No, but it takes you about an hour to get into the services from the car
that's what I mean.
park.
It's like Heathrow Airport. It's ridiculous.
No, the worst for me, there's one. This is really frustrating because I can visualize it as clear as day. It's north. It's on the M6 somewhere. I've stopped into it once or twice. I hadn't stopped into it for a while prior to earlier this. I think it was December time we stopped in, and I'd not been there for years. And I was just like, you kind of turn up there, and it's certainly not a big grand service station like Beaconsfield or a Cobham. It's like quite small but densely packed. And
has it got a McDonald's?
Yeah, I think it might even be a Burger King. But before you even...
that's where it's gone wrong.
Yeah, you're like 10 foot away from the main entrance, and you can smell that mixture of like stale piss.
Is it close to Birmingham or close to Manchester?
It's closer to Manchester. It might even be north of that. I can't...
It could be Knutsford or Sandbach.
It might
Sandbach has the McDonald's. And that's the thing, you get really good knowledge. Like, you spend this amount of time driving to golf clubs, you get really good knowledge.
Is it Sandbach or Sandbach?
No, Sandbach.
That's what
Keel's
Sandbach.
the one before,
Sandbach.
which is like Junction 15, and that's like a Starbucks. That's quite easy to deal with, and it's got quite a nice little navigation through. But the M6, because it's quite an old and very busy motorway, a lot of the service stations are all a bit grim and a bit sort of bit pokey. But then you go around London, there's loads of development into them, and you've got these like places like Beaconsfield, which are huge. Whereas
Peter Express, Nando's,
Clackett Lane's a bit of a goat. Yeah.
But I'd also say that I feel like, we're just regurgitating. Me and Sam have spent like the best part of about 12 hours in the car in the last few days, so we're just regurgitating chat we've already done. But I will repeat. Burger King really lets itself down on services. They just don't try. They just know they've got you. They know you want to eat, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to charge you £9 for a Whopper, and we're not even going to heat it.
We had one at Beseat in Carew, and I think we just bought 2 coffees, and even then they tried to kill us on the cost of it. It was quite annoying because if Burger King
is it much
just
more expensive than McDonald's?
Yeah, it is. And the really annoying thing is, if Burger King, because they obviously know that they're struggling, so rather than just think how do we make the product better and capture more market share, what they've thought is actually we'll just double down on price, because it's like, WH Smith is another good example, which again for American listeners was a bookstore, but now sells mainly confectionery. It just catches people at their most vulnerable, so they put the stores in places where you have no choice. And Burger King are usually primed and ready to sell you a heinous burger for about £8. Whereas McDonald's, I just feel, is so steady and consistent, and they never nail you on the price.
McDonald's, I'm partial to.
I imagine you like a Leon.
Chicken Legend.
Do you like a Leon, Bruce?
Yeah, I do. But again, sometimes I just like undercooked rice and a kind of Spartan portion of chicken, and you just feel like, well, I've not really got much out of that. I should have just gone for a McDonald's, like 5 chicken selects and a McChicken Legend and a quarter pounder or something. You might as well just go for it.
I think we're in for a penny and for a pound, isn't it? At that point,
I think it's the chips that make you feel like shit. A few hours later, the chips, I think the taste comes back in your mouth. The aftertaste, it's just like. Do
any of you ever go to McDonald's and you buy like, I don't know? So I'll go in and I'll have a Big Mac.
You're a big man for wraps, aren't you? You're
Big
a big
Mac.
rapper.
I like the wrap of day. The wrap of
tortilla.
day is usually day. But then just because like I've got sheer guilt, like I'd order a large, wrap of the day meal and then a cheeky cheeseburger chaser, and then because I feel so guilty about it, they're like, oh, "What do you want to drink?" Water.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So taken.
No, you got to just go with it. You've got to go with the temptation to have something sugary to offset the salt. Like all this stuff works in like opposites, doesn't it? You see, if you want to go for true nutritional suicide, you've got to go for like something salty, like a McChicken sandwich or a quarter pounder cheeseburger, whatever it is. Then the chips on top of it with like a barbecue sauce. Then you have like a fucking sweet drink just to wash it down. Then you go into like a McFlurry or some chocolate or your sweet gums, and you just keep riding that wave of salt, sugar, dry, creamy. Yeah.
You like the milkshakes?
Milkshake. Sorry, that was a probably better example than a Coke or something. Yeah, because then you've got like the smooth, creamy milkshake offsetting like the crunchy, dry. Yeah, and it's just you can be stuck down a rabbit hole there.
How many just bags? Can't get this is such a digression. How many bags of fruit do you reckon McDonald's are shifting? They put them. You can have them in
quite a few.
So.
Quite a few. I think so. Yeah, for the same reasons that you order your water, parents will order the. I don't bag on McDonald's as a principle. I rate them as a business. I think they're consistent.
Brand loyalty.
I actually quite like what they've done with their places. They feel good, don't they? They don't feel bad. Whereas you come out of Burger King, you feel like you've been taken advantage of. The food is heinous. You now realise why you never
might get ill.
There. Yeah, exactly. The reason it looks dirty. Like I'm just putting it out there that when I'm driving, I'll usually hold fire for, usually a sort of a McDonald's one, or if I've got to stop at one with a BK, there's no way I'm going to be buying anything from there. It's just a general rule of thumb. It's hard to know my favourite service station, but we drove back from Kent, and I said to you, where do we stop? We're going to need to get some breakfast. And the decision was, do we go to Beaconsfield or Cobham Services, which is huge, or do we go to Clackett Lane, which is tiny, and there's nobody there? And yes, it was very grim. It stank. But actually, it was quite nice, the fact you could just walk in and out and you're back on the road again.
What, Clackett Lane, this is?
Yeah, it's a grim service station, but it's very
They've got a Pret, though, haven't they?
I don't know, but they're a gout dream because it's about 10 yards from car to door. So
exactly.
And that's why it stinks of urine.
Right. Guys, I'm going to move us on to the golf, if you don't mind. So,
okay. I wanted to talk about Ronald McDonald and where he's gone, but okay, let's go on to the golf.
So the Partners' Day was obviously at Royal St George's, which we'll come on to. And by the way, wow, that place was in unbelievable condition. But when we recorded the podcast with Paul Craven, the second pod at the start of the year, Paul told us that over Christmas he'd gone to North Foreland Par 3 course with James Lear, the secretary there, and a few others, and played 72 holes in a day in the bleak winter. And spoke very highly of it, and I was absolutely itching to go and play it.
So we did.
What are both of your experiences of Par 3 courses?
Have
you ever played one? Like, they're not that common. I mean,
no, they're not. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I just started playing golf, and like when people just start. I mean, you guys won't know because you were too young. But when you're a bit older, and you just start, you get like heroin hooked, and it's like, I couldn't get enough. Like wherever I drove, I took my clubs, and I'd kind of sneak away from like my lunch hour and go play golf because I was just so hyper obsessed with it. When those were the days, my wife used to live in Lichfield, and Lichfield Golf and Country Club have a Par 3 course.
No way.
Did have one. Certainly did have one. Only 9 holes. But I think that's the only ever Par 3 course I've ever played.
Bruce, what about you?
Pitch and putt, maybe.
Yeah, I think my mind just naturally jumps to the Balgove at St Andrews.
Yeah, I've never played that. Is that
where is that?
You could say there's some that are like par fours on them. They're not really. They're all, with the exception of maybe one hole. If you get the wind wrong, you can hit all of them with your tee shot. That is just by the Golf Academy. In fact, I think it might have been part of the original routing of the Eden before they switched things around. It might not have been, but the Balgove, or the Royal Balgove, as some people like to call it out there.
If it was part of the Eden, that'll have some Harry Colt stuff in it.
I think it's just too. Yeah, there's not much going on actually, so I don't think it could be. Maybe
is it good?
It's the strap time that goes in. Yeah. It's like a nice place to work on your game. I mean, I'm trying to think where else sort of springs to mind. The Wee course at Glen Eagles, again, not strictly.
Ronan Rafferty likes that.
Actually, no, that is a par 3. That is a par 3 course. Yeah, you could say again.
I remember going on holiday with my parents to Torquay a couple of times as a kid, and I'd have been like maybe 10, 11 or 12 or something. And this hotel called like the Palace Hotel, it was a sort of place that served afternoon tea, and the bar shuts at 8 o'clock in the evening because most of the people going there are sort of 90 years age plus. But they've got a little par 3 course in the back, in the sort of back of it. And when you're a kid, you're like 10, 11 or 12. It's like it's almost all of a sudden it becomes perfect size. The first hole, which was probably like 120 yards, I had to absolutely cream a 5-wood to get it up there. And I remember playing like 2 or 3 laps of it, and that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. I can even remember the holes now exactly to this day. And then played a bit of golf at Kings Norton as a junior as well, which is nearby. And they've got a 12-hole par 3 course there, which is actually really good again.
Isn't there a par 3 course near us where they do like competition on it?
Nailcoat Hall. It's meant to be great. They play the seniors thing there, don't they? It's sponsored by like farm foods or something like that.
Yeah.
And you get a few good players. Check that out. We should do a course diaries on it. We should 100% go and play that. So I have a little special thing for par 3 courses. Like I would feel, very lucky got to go to Valderrama a couple of years ago, and I was absolutely desperate to see the par 3 course. And it was absolutely amazing.
Where is it?
It's like if you think off the right of the 9th hole at Valderrama as you play back, it's out to the left there. You sort of play around some of the old little Spanish villas. If you ever get a chance to go there, you should really make a push to play the par 3 course and build the day out. You can take buggies, you can put a few beers on the cart, and it's really good fun.
So if you're looking back, if you're at the clubhouse and you're looking back down the 9th hole, the left over on the left, so the left right
of the putting green and over that
as
way.
You're playing it. Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
at the risk of alienating those of us that haven't played Valderrama,
Kings Norton or the Palace Hotel. Anyway, I have a special thing for par 3 courses.
Interesting.
Do you think there's the Kings Norton's a good example? 27-hole club, St George's Hill, another 27-hole club. Do you think sometimes these clubs have got a little bit of extra land? Maybe not enough to get 2 courses out. They kind of stick another 9 in. It kind of missing a trick on, maybe doing a bit more. I think Woburn have got really good short game area.
Yeah, well, I put that on Instagram earlier, didn't I? Like we asked people where's their favourite, and we need to talk about North Foreland. But most of the par 3 courses I've played, in fact, almost all of them, have been bolt-ons to existing golf developments, either a resort or a place that's got a bit of extra land. And yet, when we played North Foreland, we were like, I wonder how many acres this occupies. Really cool bunkering. Like, the course is a Fowler and Simpson. So, a few people saw some pictures we posted and said, oh, the bunkering looks quite similar to it's like Blackwell Links bunkering or whatever, I think someone said, because it's got some of the wavy stuff. And that's what they have on the short course as well. And it probably only takes up maybe like 5 acres, maybe 10, I'm not an expert, but it's not much land. And they've got 18 greens and you play out and, there's no trees or anything. It's just sort of wide open. You see an expanse of greens, yellow pins for the front 9, red for the back, anything from sort of 60 yards to I think about 130. And all the greens have got these massive contours. And it's all on chalk, so they get really quick and fast-draining greens. They're not linksy, but they're sort of super sort of spinny and receptive. And there's no better feeling than firing in a wedge from 110 and trying to waz it back off the back edge back towards the pin. Like, it's the most addictive thing ever. Like, you could do it all day.
Where is this place? North Foreland.
So it's like
the Sandwich, Deal, Prince's.
About half an hour from George's. So we were staying at Royal St George's, and it's if you drive out, it's kind of out sort of you go past Ramsgate and to Margate and out that way. Yeah. So they've got an 18-hole Fowler and Simpson course out there, which is meant to be really good. As I say, it's more sort of cliff top chalk ground. But the par 3 course, what a lot of fun that was.
And you whiz around that in what?
Hour and a half?
Hour and a half,
hour and a half tops, yeah. So we played with James Sparks, who's a really talented sort of photographer, videographer, and sort of messaged him and said, if you're about, and I'd forgotten he was a member at North Foreland. He was like, yeah, great, I'll meet you at 7:30. And he lives in Margate, works for himself, and you think, God, that's so cool. He probably goes up there every day in the summer, knocks a few wedges around. He was sneaky good as well, wasn't he, Tom?
Yeah, he was real sneaky good. I've just been off tour for a minute because I was on Google Maps and measuring the area of North Foreland par 3 course. It's 11.7 acres.
Now that is so doable. That'd be so doable for certain areas. Push a bit of earth around, put some crazy greens in there. Tee boxes were mats as well, so it's like mega easy to maintain. Like you're not going to have to keep filling in dirt.
Having said that, mega easy to maintain. The greens were all like good. I mean, the problem with par 3 courses, as it will be, is if you have, and this Northbourne didn't have this, so just caveat that. But if you got non-conscientious players, it's obviously going to get a lot of balls land on it. So you just get. But it was like that's going to be one of the biggest problems. But the greens were really good. They were like. Running well. They were quite pure. They were really receptive. It was like, and it was up on a cliff. It was perfect. It was just.
Yeah, I was going to say that would make sense. Like the concern with par 3s, I guess, is from a maintenance standpoint. You could just have 1,000 pitch marks to do. If you're a greenkeeper there, you're trying to look after the course there. So from a maintenance standpoint, but I wonder where, how they fit with because. What you're talking about there, and I guess the courses we've mentioned so far have been all out, like genuine par 3 courses. Because we've also got a fondness for the likes of Sunningdale Heath, which is primarily par 3 holes, but equally has some longer holes in there that I guess means it's not in the category of a
strip. And Anstra, there was another one that someone mentioned, which is, Formula 8 is a 5,500 yard golf course, but it's a slight stretch. But Anstra's got like 2 4s, I think, and there's some really long 3s in there. So there's different. You can stretch this out a bit.
Yeah. But that should be a thing. We should just got to hunt for par 3 courses, or courses under like 4,500 yards.
Someone suggested one called Rudding Park. It's meant to be quite nice. Up near Harrogate.
I mean, back of a fag packet stuff. I mean, I didn't pick up a scorecard at North Foreland, but 9 holes, about 120. 18 holes, sorry, about 120 yards was the longest, but there were some that were like 50 yards. So you're probably looking at courses circa 2,200, 2,300 yards.
It's so good for your game, and with the greens, like honestly, like I'm not overblowing this. The greens have got huge swales and slopes and stuff, and they could put the pins in bowls, and you could have loads of hole-in-ones like Augusta on the par 3 thing, and they can put them in spots that are absolutely terrifying. You just cannot short side yourself.
Yeah, I think,
and it's a lot of fun.
It was 16th we played. Yeah. They put the pin on on the top of a hill, and it was like, I don't know how I'm going to get close to that.
Well, that's really the most exciting part of it, I think. And very, very rare to come across a lot of golf courses, but I guess par 3s in particular is like very interesting green complexes that afford you a number of different pin positions. But it kind of goes full circle, like the maintenance point that you raised earlier, Tom, that I piggybacked on. If you have bigger greens with more interesting swales and runoff areas, that probably, in some different lengths as well, that probably makes it easier to maintain, I guess, in that you're going to spread the wear rather than having like one very small kind of little green that is just going to get constantly bombarded in the same spots with a wedge. I don't know.
But I do think if I had access to that, I think I might. I'd certainly play as many rounds on that as I played on the main course, because just to sharpen up the short game, it's like it's just out there, it's quick, it's fun, it's like practice, but in a game format where you can kind of keep score, and it's not just like going to the practice range just hitting chips. It's like
3 clubs and you're done, aren't you? It'd be so good. I actually crave having a cool par 3 course nearby. We need to go and play Nell Cup.
Yeah. We should do that. That's another.
If I had a par 3 bucket list, top of that would probably be Castle Stuart 1. We did the course walk.
Well, yeah, as well, yeah.
And that was all mown turf. That was nuts. Like when he went into the detail that got into that. I think that's open since we've last been there.
I thought that was closed down.
No. I think it's open.
Oh, I thought it was closed down to make way for the second course, but maybe I've got that wrong.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know.
I hope we haven't missed the boat.
Hopefully not missed the boat. But I'd heard maybe the short course was being rejigged on the basis that there's going to be another course now that it's known as Cabot Highlands. But yeah, maybe that's just a real curveball or a white ball from me. I don't know. I'll have to check that.
Well, I think we're going to, either way, it would be nice to go and hunt out a few more little par 3 courses. And I would be desperate to know if people listening to this pod have got some crackers that we've not mentioned that would be worthy of seeing. I would very much like, if anyone does know them, it would be really cool to do just a little par 3 thing. Like I'm obsessed that one day we'll accumulate all this sort of stuff that we've through what we've played. We could start to build a repository of the great par 3 holes of par 3 courses we've seen, that sort of stuff. I mean, RNGC, another great example there. But
I'd like to say
invite only. That's harder to get on than Augusta.
Yeah, that's actually. It's actually harder to play that than the Augusta National because, I mean, it's only open for a few weeks of the year and they have one invitational tournament. I don't even think you're going to get into the field this year, Bruce. I mean, you're going to have to pedal really hard down to get a spot. With a few minutes remaining in this podcast, it would be good to talk about the partner day at Royal St George's. More than anything, as a bit of a thank you for them having us. But we obviously had our spring meeting there last year, and Prince's, who, by the way, don't know if I should say this, I believe are thinking about a par 3 course as well. How good would that be?
Are they?
I believe so. I don't want to say too much.
Wowzers.
Don't you love it when it all ties together?
Well, exactly. Great minds think alike. But the partner day, which was a really, really good idea, I thought, by the club, and something that pretty much any club could pull off. Like, brought together all the people that, I mean, we're not suppliers to Royal St George's.
Miracle on invite, really.
Everyone else was there. I mean, to be honest, it was lovely. Yeah, sort of special treatment. I don't know what we did to deserve that. But really cool how they brought in all the different suppliers. You had people there that supplied the agronomy equipment, people that sold the coffee beans, people that sold the eggs to the club, people that work there, whether it's the caddy master,
butcher.
Everything,
literally everything. Honestly,
to do
the guy that sold the flags,
experience,
the pins. And,
amazing though. That is such a great. I mean, when you guys were telling me about this when we caught up, sadly I wasn't there. And you telling me, I thought that is such a brilliant idea, and actually, like, I think so few golf clubs probably do anything like that. Well, and it's like, why? Because that is what a brilliant thing to do.
Like what you're trying to create. So the whole thing is like, and Colin, who's recently started there as a secretary, is the previously came from Nairn, worked at Carnoustie, and Tom and I were fortunate to play with him. Bloody good golfer as well.
Scary good ball striker.
Yeah, absurd in that wind, wasn't it? Really, it was truly absurd. And very nonchalant, just sort of flicked it around in par, just didn't even break sweat. But he sort of stood up and talked about it and said, like, it's really important that everyone that's sort of feeding into this understands what we're trying to deliver. And it was like, wow, that's a really strong statement of intent. And it does get you thinking.
But also, like, it was really clever. Or not, maybe, perhaps this isn't by design, but of course it's going to happen by design, is that, like, we sat down on the table and a few of the chaps that were on the table next to us, we were kind of first there. One of them provided the buggies, one of them provided the lawnmower equipment, the other one provided the pins. They'd all met through various circles before, and then suddenly they start talking again, opportunities. Oh yeah, we should do that thing, or and it's kind of like all these different people start like connecting that perhaps don't have the opportunity or that used to work together and now they're bumping into each other, and we got the chance to chat to Jacob and Peter Millar, which was really, really handy for us and is going to help us going forward with the spring meeting and stuff like that. So, it's just really a good opportunity for all these different people. And I thought it was brilliant, like how literally everyone in the club was involved as well. Like, we were lucky enough to stay in the dormy, and we stayed up with the chef who was the chef who does the absolutely outrageously good lunches there. And I was just picking his brains on all this, like, about the fish. Like, Where'd you get the fish from? Just stupid questions. I could have done pods with everybody there. It was just so good. It was
Yeah,
really
but
good.
I think it makes a huge difference, though, doesn't it? If you think about all those respective partners that are there, that I guess in this day and age, it's easy, isn't it, with digital communication, social media, email, all of it, to just make these transactions, and it all becomes quite inhuman because you never need to really meet someone in person, or it's very, very infrequent, and you just don't get that kind of camaraderie, that team spirit. But when you have a day like this and everyone's coming together and they see that they're just part of a much larger vision or a much larger kind of goal, and to see it all come together like that, it must just be brilliant. It must just
but it just gives you context. If
Yeah.
you sell coffee beans to Royal St George's and you go there and you have the lunch, it's going to get you thinking. If you supply greenkeeping equipment to the course and you see how bloody good it is, it's going to get you thinking, isn't it? And I think all of that was just really smart. I think a special mention needs to go to the course. I've heard a few people that played it. Obviously, things from the Hewitt. A few people have talked about how good it was. It was absolutely outstanding how good the condition was. It was so sharp. Like, you could have cut your fingers on the bunkers. They were like that. I mean, it was immaculate. And as soon as it was like that, those greens, I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I was in awe for the course. I think it's a course that the more you play it, the more you see, and the depths and everything comes out of it. Yeah, it's just an absolutely outrageously good golf course. That.
Yeah, it's a special place, isn't it?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to do our event there last year, and the people that got involved with the event, I think they all really enjoyed it, and it was all highlighting the fact. And I think we should reiterate the fact that yes, there are visitor days where you can play 4 balls on Tuesdays, but there are days that you can go as a visitor to Royal St George's and play 2 balls and go for lunch. If you contact the club and say that this is what you're interested in, you want the experience, you want Jack and Tie lunch and the whole kit and caboodle. The club are accommodating for that sort of thing, and the experience is just
possibly the best lunch in golf.
I feel so fortunate to be able to go do those things, and I would recommend it to anybody. But speaking of events, we should probably segue slightly.
Are we going to plug your retro roundup once more? I thought we were going to talk about my golf on a gouty swing.
Do you want to do that first?
Don't plug the retro thing. That's too much. We've done it already. Come on. I
would say that the gout patting that you did. So, considering you had to stand a bit like a ballet person in plie, and you never really got the club further back than your waist, it was quite a remarkable pat. That it was just sort of, there was no
because I couldn't turn into my left foot. I had my left foot pointing at the target. And
you get that left foot pretty splayed out already. It's already ridiculous. It's already 45.
Yeah, no, this was full 90 degrees. And I was just having to pat it because I couldn't put any force into it. So I was like, everything was off the back foot and it was pure patting. I was quite happy with how I struck it, actually. It was actually quite helpful because in that wind, you don't really want to be in there with any spin.
Beware the injured golfer.
And Jacob, who we played with, and obviously Colin, who were great players. You just see how really good players sort of control their ball in really tough conditions like that. And it was pretty impressive to watch. It goes through the wind. It doesn't sail on it. It goes through it, stays with it with intent. Yeah, there's a real sort of there's a real thought to how they're approaching it. And again, going back to it, when the wind was up and the greens were quick, there was a few times where all of a sudden, maybe when I played it, last few years or whatever, and it's been maybe, not quite as firm, and maybe that's time of year, I don't know. But you don't really feel too phased when you're out of shape. You still go for the green and it's okay. The 14th, that par 5, obviously, I think it's called Sewers, isn't it? I hit a decent drive down the right, but it was head on into wind. Didn't fancy hitting my second down the right as well, which is really where you want to be. The wind was so severe, it was like, I'm just going to hit 3 wood and just bail it out left. I stood over there with 110 yards left to go, and I was like, there's no way I can hold this green on this wind. It's absolutely impossible. Because the way the greens are pitched against you, or sort of pitched running away from you rather, in the wind and everything. And it just played brilliantly. You really had to think about where the pins were, the contours within the greens. Magic.
And I know you're an incredibly modest individual. Well, you both are. So
I'm not modest.
Yeah,
I think that was sarcasm.
Well done. You would mention it on the podcast, but I feel as I wasn't there, I can tease it out of you. I hear you guys took home the bacon, didn't you?
We were talking about our match.
We were in the team that won. How much we contributed, I don't know.
Well, I don't know the format, so I'm just going to...
I think our team of 4 could have won, and me and Tom could have just sat back at the ranch with a glass of red wine. And I think so. I think Colin and Jacob would have taken care of business alone. But yeah.
I mean, it was quite a masterclass from Colin, I must say. As we were walking down the aforementioned 14th, I said to him, it's quite funny, really. I said to him, come on, Colin, you now have to admit this is hard, because it must have been like 30-mile-an-hour winds. It was really, really gaily. I said, come on, Colin, you have to admit this is tough. And he says, no, it's not. It's not. It's just windy. I was like, okay. He said, I used to love playing in this because half the people didn't want to play in the wind, so they weren't going to win. The other half of the people that were left, half of them couldn't play the wind, so they weren't in it. So you're left with about a quarter of the field that you're competing against. I was like, Christ alive, the guy's an animal. You can take down anybody.
Fighting talk.
But he was, I mean, I've rarely seen so much ball control in wind than Colin displayed that day.
It was actually genuinely one of the most impressive exhibitions of ball striking I've seen. Was very impressive in those conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very lucky to go. I think I did feel like we had to talk about it in this pod because it was just in absolutely outstanding condition. Special place, bloody good lunch. Just absolutely love it down there. Which is obviously where we had our spring meeting last year, and that's now not far away.
The 2023 edition.
MMXX 111.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, that's
sounds
right. I'll give you that.
Reasonable.
Yeah, that's going to be quite good, but I think we could probably cover that as and when. This is just a little ramble that we've managed to get through 40 minutes of just talking absolute nonsense about McDonald's and Burger King.
But there's a bit of we want a bit of interaction
of insight
where possible. So, Sam, you've made a shout out about more undiscovered hidden gem par 3 courses. And I guess naturally, since that's where the podcast started, were best and worst service stations and what you typically go for. You know, I think there's a lot to be learned there. Tom's obviously going through a clear sugar rush at the moment with wine gums and all sorts of assorted gelatin sweets.
What were those snakes we had, Tom? Natural Sweet Company.
Natural Sweet Company. Just the snakes they did.
Absolutely superb. Honestly, really good.
The only thing
Tier 1's confectionery this was.
Yeah, I don't really want to get back into this because I feel.
No, I'm just saying we want to share. You know, if there's anything that we're leaving out,
there's any nuggets we need to know.
I know what I mean is I don't want to get back to it, but I'm going to get back onto it. The only thing about those natural sweets is you I don't know what's the matter with them, but you leave very thirsty. I don't know, like you eat it and you're always just very thirsty afterwards.
It was the sugar alcohols in them or whatever.
Just don't know. They're really, 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 really nice. So anyway, if you've got any par 3s the you think that we'd like, that we'd probably quite like to see them, so send those in. If you think you know any sweets that we might like, let us know.
And any service stations to avoid, also let us know those.
Just let us know.
Or enjoy.
It'd be good to do it would be good to do a ranking of service station for the travelling golfer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Top 100.
Yeah. Well, I think it feels like more of a top 20. And I just don't think it's T-Bay. I just don't think it is. I think it's too much of the easy shout.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. If you have anything, please do comment. But until next time.
Adios.
Watch this.